Have you ever met someone and felt like the entire universe paused, like time slowed down, and the noise faded, and something ancient inside you whispered, "I know you"? Not from this life, maybe, but from somewhere deeper, somewhere beyond memory. If the universe wants you to be with someone, it doesn't announce it with trumpets or lightning bolts. It whispers. And if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it completely. Carl Jung, one of the most brilliant minds in human psychology, spent his life studying these moments. He called them synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that defy logic but feel absolutely true. And he believed that when your inner world aligns with your outer reality, the universe responds. Not randomly, deliberately. Because some people don't walk into your life by accident. They arrive by appointment. An appointment you didn't schedule consciously, but your soul has been keeping for years. This video isn't about romance. It's about recognition. It's about those rare, unexplainable moments when someone enters your world and everything shifts. When you can't explain why they matter so much, but denying it feels like lying to yourself. So if you've ever felt pulled towards someone in a way that defies reason, if you've experienced spiritual signs from the universe that felt too precise to ignore, stay with me. Because what you're about to discover will either confirm what your soul already knows or change how you see every connection for the rest of your life. The first thing you need to understand is this: when something truly important is about to happen, the world doesn't scream, it whispers. The most powerful moments don't arrive with drama. They arrive with stillness. A moment of quiet so profound that your mind finally stops running, your doubts fade into the background, and something deeper takes over. Something that's been waiting beneath all the noise of your everyday life. And that's when you meet them, not in some grand cinematic way, but in a coffee shop, at a party you almost didn't attend, through a friend of a friend, in the most ordinary moment that suddenly becomes extraordinary. You look at them and the world goes quiet. It's not butterflies. It's not nervousness. It's something else entirely. It's recognition, like your soul just exhaled after holding its breath for years. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Jung understood this better than almost anyone. He knew that most of us move through life asleep, reacting instead of creating mistaking patterns for destiny. But when you start waking up, when you begin doing the inner work, the universe starts responding differently. It stops throwing obstacles in your path and starts clearing the way. And sometimes it clears the way by sending someone who feels like home. But here's what most people miss. This person isn't here to complete you. They're here to reflect you, to show you the truth you've been avoiding, the potential you've been suppressing, the wounds you've been ignoring. They become a mirror. And mirrors don't lie. They show you everything, the beautiful parts and the broken parts, the healed wounds and the ones still bleeding. And that's why the first sign of a soul connection isn't comfort. It's clarity. Sometimes uncomfortable, sometimes overwhelming, but always undeniable. Think about the last time you met someone who truly mattered. Not someone you were trying to impress, not someone you wanted something from, but someone whose presence made all your defenses feel suddenly exhausting. You probably noticed it in your body first. The way your shoulders dropped, the way your breathing deepened, the way something in your chest that had been clenched for months, maybe years, finally released. That's not attraction. That's recognition. Your nervous system recognizing safety. Your soul recognizing home. And in that recognition, you realize how long you've been performing. How exhausting it's been to maintain the image. How much energy it takes to be whoever you think the world needs you to be. But with them, the performance stops. And what's terrifying is that you don't know if what's underneath is enough. If the real you, without the polish and the persona, is worthy of being seen. That fear, that's the ego's last defense. And their presence dismantles it completely. You look at them and suddenly you see yourself more clearly than you ever have before. Not because they're judging you, but because their presence strips away the masks you've been wearing for everyone else. The performance stops. The pretending ends. And what's left is just you. Raw, real, vulnerable. And for the first time in maybe your entire life, that feels like enough. That's the whisper. That's the first sign. The noise in your head stops. The constant analyzing, the second guessing, the fear of not being enough, it all goes quiet. Because in their presence, you don't have to prove anything. You don't have to perform. You just exist. And somehow, that's exactly what they seem to want. This is what Jung meant when he talked about alignment. When your inner world, your values, your truth, your authentic self finally matches your outer experience, reality bends toward you. Not through force, through resonance. Think of it like tuning forks. Two instruments vibrating at the same frequency don't need to touch to affect each other. They just need to be in proximity. And when they're aligned, they create a sound that neither could produce alone. That's what a soul connection feels like. Not loud, not forced, just right. But the ego hates this. The logical mind wants explanations. It wants proof. It wants to know, how do you know this is real? How do you know you're not just projecting? How do you know this isn't just another mistake? And here's the truth, you don't know. Not logically, not with certainty, but your soul knows. And learning to trust that knowing, even when it defies reason, is one of the most important spiritual awakenings you'll ever experience. Because the universe doesn't speak in facts and figures. It speaks in feelings, in synchronicities, in whispers that only the conscious can hear. And if you're hearing them, it means you're ready. You think about them, and 3 seconds later, your phone lights up. Their name, a text. Not hours later, not the next day. Right then, you walk into a bookstore you've never been to in a part of town you rarely visit, and there they are, standing in the philosophy section, holding a book you just finished reading. You hear a song on the radio, one you've never heard before, and the lyrics feel like they were written about this exact moment. About them. About you. About whatever this is that you can't name but can't deny. These aren't coincidences. These are confirmations. Carl Jung spent years studying synchronicity, and he defined it as a meaningful coincidence of 2 or more events where something other than probability is involved. In simpler terms, when the inner and outer worlds collide in a way that feels intentional. And here's what's important to understand. Synchronicities don't happen to everyone. They happen to people who are becoming conscious, people who are paying attention, people whose inner alignment is strong enough that the universe can finally communicate with them. If you're seeing these signs, it's not because the universe is playing tricks on you. It's because you're finally awake enough to notice. Maybe you keep seeing their initials everywhere, on license plates, in emails from strangers, on billboards. Numbers that mean something to both of you start appearing in patterns on receipts, in phone numbers on the clock every time you look. Or you start having dreams about them before you even know them well. Dreams so vivid they feel like memories, like you've lived entire lifetimes together in a single night's sleep. Coincidence, maybe. But when the same coincidence happens 5, 10, 20 times, you start to realize something is trying to get your attention. This is one of the clearest spiritual signs from the universe. It's the language of alignment. And once you understand how to read it, you'll never see reality the same way again. But here's where it gets interesting. These synchronicities don't just confirm the connection. They reveal its purpose. Maybe every time you think about calling them, they're going through something difficult. And your timing, which feels random to you, feels like a miracle to them. Maybe the book you randomly picked up at the store, the one that made you think of them, contains the exact message they needed to hear that week. Maybe the song that made you cry in the car was the same song playing in their headphones at the exact same moment, 3 states away. This is the universe showing you that you're not separate, that your inner worlds are connected in ways the logical mind can't explain, but the soul understands perfectly. Jung believed in the collective unconscious, a shared psychic space where all human souls are connected. And in moments of deep alignment, that connection becomes visible, tangible, undeniable. You're not imagining this. You're experiencing it. And the more you pay attention, the more these signs multiply. It's like the universe is saying, yes, you're seeing clearly. Keep going. But there's a flip side to this. Because synchronicities can also reveal misalignment. When you're forcing something that isn't meant to be, the universe sends obstacles. Doors close, plans fall apart, communication breaks down. But when the universe wants you to be with someone, the path clears. Not because it's easy, but because even the difficult moments feel purposeful. Even the challenges feel like they're leading somewhere. You don't have to fight for their attention. You don't have to convince them to see you. You don't have to perform or pretend or manipulate. The connection just flows. Naturally, effortlessly, like 2 rivers merging without force. And when you experience that kind of ease, after years of relationships that felt like swimming upstream, you realize this is what alignment feels like. This is what it means when your soul has been waiting for someone who doesn't require you to shrink, perform, or hide. So pay attention to the patterns. Notice the timing. Trust the signs. Because these aren't random glitches in reality. These are messages. And the fact that you're noticing them means you're finally ready to receive what the universe has been trying to send you all along. If something in this message just clicked for you, if you felt that quiet recognition, don't keep it to yourself. Drop a comment below and share your story. Because this journey is bigger than just you and me, it's all of us waking up together. Here's something nobody tells you about falling for someone. You're not really falling for them. You're falling into the parts of yourself they make visible. Every person you're drawn to is a mirror. Not the kind that reflects your face, but the kind that reflects your soul. The hidden parts, the buried parts, the parts you've been running from your entire life. And when someone walks into your world and triggers something deep inside you, it's not because they're perfect. It's because they're activating something you've kept unconscious. Jung called this projection, and it's one of the most powerful forces in human psychology. We all carry 2 versions of ourselves. The self we show the world, polished, acceptable, safe. And the self we hide, the one that feels too much, wants too much, fears too much. The one we've learned is unacceptable. And when you meet someone who matters, your unconscious mind does something extraordinary. It projects all of that hidden material onto them. You admire their confidence because you've suppressed your own. You're drawn to their emotional calm because your inner world has been chaos for years. You fear their independence because deep down, you've always felt trapped. They're not causing these feelings, they're revealing them. Let me give you a specific example. Maybe you meet someone who speaks their truth effortlessly. They say no without guilt. They set boundaries without apologizing. They take up space without shrinking. And you're mesmerized. But it's not really about them. It's about the fact that you've spent your entire life making yourself smaller. Saying yes when you meant no. Apologizing for existing, contorting yourself into whatever shape you thought people needed you to be. They're not special because they have some superpower. They're a mirror showing you what you've denied yourself permission to become. Or maybe you meet someone who's deeply emotional. They cry when they're sad. They express anger when they're hurt. They don't hide their feelings behind jokes or intellectualization or numbing. And it scares you. Because you were taught that emotions are weakness, that vulnerability is dangerous, that if you let people see how much you feel, they'll use it against you. So you buried it, all of it, until you became so good at not feeling that you forgot how. And then this person walks in, fully alive, fully feeling, and something in you cracks, not because they're doing anything to you, but because they're reminding you of what you lost, of who you were before you learned to shut down. And that revelation, it's the beginning of transformation. Maybe you meet someone who seems fearless, and suddenly you realize how much of your life has been governed by anxiety. Not because they're judging you, but because their presence makes your own fear impossible to ignore. Or maybe you meet someone who's emotionally available, and it cracks open the wall you built around your heart after the last person who hurt you. And now you're terrified. Not of them, of feeling again. This is what real connection does. It doesn't flatter your ego. It confronts it. It shows you where you're still wounded, where you're still lying to yourself, where you're still playing small. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The things you find most attractive in someone are often the things you've rejected in yourself. You fall for their independence because you've been codependent for years. You fall for their emotional depth because you've been performing shallow for everyone else. You fall for their authenticity because you've been living behind a mask so long you forgot what your real face looks like. They don't complete you. They remind you of the parts you abandoned. And that reminder, it's a gift, even when it hurts. Because every strong reaction you have to another person is information. Every time you feel admiration, envy, fear, or intense attraction, your unconscious is trying to tell you something. It's saying, look here, this matters. Pay attention. Jung believed that relationships are one of the primary arenas for personal development. Not because finding the right person fixes you, but because the right person reveals what still needs fixing. And when the universe wants you to be with someone, it's not just sending you a partner, it's sending you a teacher, a mirror, a spiritual catalyst, someone who will show you exactly where you're bleeding so you can finally stop pretending you're not. This is why soul connections are never easy. They're intense, they're messy, they're raw, because they bring you face to face with yourself. With the version of you that's been hiding in the shadows, waiting to be seen. Maybe you've been performing strength for so long that you forgot how to be vulnerable. And then you meet someone whose gentleness cracks that armor wide open. Or maybe you've been so focused on taking care of everyone else that you forgot how to receive love. And then you meet someone who wants to give without expecting anything in return, and you don't know how to handle it. These aren't weaknesses. These are wounds, and wounds don't heal in isolation. They heal in connection. But here's where it gets tricky, because you're projecting onto them, you're not always seeing them clearly. You're seeing your own unmet needs, your own unlived dreams, your own unhealed pain. And that's okay. That's part of the process. The work isn't to stop projecting. The work is to become conscious of it, to recognize when you're reacting to your own reflection instead of to the actual person in front of you. And when you do that, everything changes. You stop needing them to be perfect. You stop expecting them to heal wounds that are yours to heal. You stop blaming them for triggering pain that was already inside you, just waiting for someone safe enough to finally surface with. And in that shift, you reclaim your power. Because the truth is, they didn't come into your life to fix you. They came to show you where you still need to fix yourself. And once you understand that Once you stop looking to them for completion and start looking within for integration, the relationship transforms. It's no longer about need. It's about choice. It's no longer about filling a void. It's about two whole people choosing to walk together. And that's when real love becomes possible. Let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. When the universe sends someone truly aligned with your soul, it doesn't always feel like magic. Sometimes it feels like fire. Not because they're wrong for you, but because your soul is finally waking up. And waking up after years of being asleep, that's painful. When someone touches you at the soul level, they don't just bring joy, they bring clarity. And clarity is often uncomfortable, because now you can see what you've been avoiding. The walls you built, the wounds you buried, the lies you told yourself to survive. All of it rises to the surface. Maybe you pride yourself on being independent, and suddenly this person makes you feel vulnerable in ways you haven't felt since childhood. And you hate it. You resist it. You want to run. Or maybe you've spent years convincing yourself you're fine alone. And then someone shows up who makes you realize how lonely you've actually been. How much you've been pretending. How long you've been holding your breath, waiting for permission to finally exhale. That's not weakness. That's truth. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Jung wrote that, and he meant it literally. You don't heal by pretending everything is fine. You heal by facing what's not fine, by sitting with the discomfort, by letting the pain reveal what it came to teach. And sometimes, the person who makes your heart race is the same person who forces you to confront every wound you've been running from. Their emotional distance. It triggers your childhood fear of abandonment. Their silence. It reactivates memories of feeling invisible, unheard, unseen. Their strength. It exposes the insecurity you've been hiding behind fake confidence for years. But here's the shift: they're not your enemy. They're your teacher. And real relationships aren't just about love. They're about growth. Because love, real love, doesn't just make you feel good. It makes you better. Every trigger they activate is an invitation to heal, to reflect, to evolve. You start asking questions you've never asked. Why am I so afraid of being left? Why do I push people away when they get close? Why does vulnerability feel like danger? And as you ask those questions, you start seeing the patterns, the childhood wounds that never healed, the coping mechanisms you called strength, the armor you built to protect yourself that's now keeping everyone out. This is sacred work, and it's painful, but it's also liberating. Here's what actually happens when you start doing this work. You begin to notice how automatic your reactions are. Someone doesn't text back for a few hours, and you immediately spiral into, they're losing interest. Someone needs space, and you hear, you're not enough. Someone disagrees with you, and you feel attacked. These aren't responses to what's happening now. These are echoes of what happened then. Maybe when you were 7, your parents' divorce taught you that love doesn't last. So now the moment someone gets close, you start looking for exits, protecting yourself from the inevitable ending before it can hurt you. Or maybe you grew up in a house where your emotions were too much, too loud, too intense. So you learn to make yourself small, to need nothing, to be the easy one. And now when someone actually wants to give to you, wants to care for you, wants to be there for you, you don't know how to receive it. It feels wrong, uncomfortable, like you're being a burden. These patterns don't just appear in your romantic relationships. They run through everything. Your friendships, your work, your relationship with yourself. And the person who triggered this awakening, they're not the cause, they're the catalyst. the one who cared enough, mattered enough to bring these wounds out of hiding. Because wounds don't heal in darkness. They heal in light, in consciousness, in the presence of someone safe enough to finally let them breathe. Because for the first time in maybe your entire life, you're not running, you're not numbing, you're not pretending. You're sitting with the pain and asking, what is this trying to teach me? And when you do that, when you meet your pain with curiosity instead of fear, something extraordinary happens. You start to heal, not because someone saved you, but because you finally saved yourself. You start journaling again. You start therapy. You start meditating, praying, walking in nature, doing whatever it takes to process what's coming up. Because this pain, as uncomfortable as it is proof that something real is happening. Superficial connections don't shake you like this. Only soul-level encounters do. Only the people who matter can touch the places that hurt. And here's what's beautiful about this process. As you heal, you start to feel gratitude. Not for the pain itself, but for what the pain revealed. Because that person, whether they stay in your life or not, cracked something open in you. They reminded you that you're still alive, that you can still feel, that beneath all the walls and wounds and defenses, there's still a heart that beats, a soul that longs, a spirit that refuses to give up on love. That's the gift, not the relationship, the awakening. And once you've experienced that kind of spiritual awakening, you never go back. You never settle for shallow again. You never accept connections that don't challenge you to grow. Because you've tasted depth. And depth, once experienced, becomes the only thing that satisfies. So if you're in pain right now because someone walked into your life and turned everything upside down, I want you to hear this, that pain is not a sign that something went wrong. It's a sign that something finally went deep. And depth is where real healing begins. Every soul carries a hidden storm. Not the kind that destroys cities, but the kind that quietly destroys peace of mind. It's made of all the parts you've rejected. The jealousy you're ashamed of. The neediness you swore you'd never show. The rage you buried so deep you convinced yourself it doesn't exist. Jung called this the shadow. The unconscious parts of yourself you've deemed unacceptable. And for most of your life, you keep it locked away. Hidden behind jokes, confidence, productivity, fake smiles. You build an identity around not being those things. I'm not jealous. I'm secure. I'm not needy. I'm independent. I'm not angry. I'm calm. Until someone walks in, not just anyone. A soul connection, a destined presence. And suddenly, the shadow you buried starts to stir. You find yourself feeling jealous even though you've built your entire identity on being secure. You become possessive even though you pride yourself on giving people freedom. You feel needy even though you swore you'd never depend on anyone again. And you panic. Because this isn't who you are. This isn't who you've worked so hard to become. But here's the truth, this is who you've always been. You just got really good at hiding it. And this person, they didn't create these feelings, they revealed them. Because their presence is powerful enough to pull your truth to the surface. All of it. The light and the dark. The healed and the broken. The parts you show everyone and the parts you show no one. This is what destined love does. It doesn't celebrate only your strengths. It triggers your wounds. It exposes your patterns. It whispers, look, this is what you've been avoiding. This is what still needs healing. And that's terrifying. Because now you can't pretend anymore. You can't perform wholeness while fragmenting inside. You can't keep the mask on when someone's looking directly at your face. But here's the shift. This isn't a breakdown. It's a breakthrough. Your shadow is awakening not to destroy you, but to be integrated, to finally be seen, to finally come home. Because you can't heal what you won't acknowledge. You can't integrate what you keep denying. And you can't become whole while rejecting half of who you are. Jung spent his entire career trying to help people understand this. The goal isn't to eliminate the shadow. The goal is to make it conscious, to look at your jealousy and ask, what wound is this protecting? To sit with your neediness and ask, what did I never receive that I'm still searching for? To feel your rage and ask, what boundary was violated that I never defended? These aren't character flaws. These are messengers, and they're trying to tell you something important. Maybe your jealousy is showing you that you never learned to trust because the people who were supposed to protect you betrayed you. Maybe your neediness is revealing that you were emotionally neglected as a child, and you're still trying to fill that void. Maybe your rage is finally surfacing after years of being told your anger wasn't acceptable. This is sacred information, and it only surfaces when it's finally safe. When you meet someone who triggers your shadow, it's not because they're toxic. It's because they're safe enough for your unconscious to finally exhale. Your soul is saying, okay, this person can handle my truth. This person won't run when I show them the parts I've been hiding. This person is strong enough to witness my darkness without trying to fix it. And in that safety, the shadow emerges. Not to harm, to heal. But you have to do the work. You have to sit with the discomfort. You have to stop blaming them for triggering pain that was already inside you, just waiting for someone close enough to activate. And when you do that work, when you start integrating your shadow, instead of suppressing it, everything changes. You stop apologizing for being too much. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You start holding space for all of your emotions, even the ones that scare you. But integration isn't a one-time event. It's a practice. A daily practice of meeting yourself with honesty instead of judgment. It looks like this. You feel jealous, and instead of immediately shaming yourself or pretending you don't feel it, you pause. You get curious. You ask, what is this jealousy protecting? What wound does it think it's guarding? And maybe you realize it's not really about the other person at all. It's about the fact that you've never felt secure. That somewhere deep inside, you still believe you're not enough. That anyone you love will eventually leave when they see the real you. That's not a character flaw. That's a wound that needs compassion. Or you feel that neediness, rising the urge to text them constantly, to know where they are, to make sure they're still thinking about you. And instead of acting on it, or hating yourself for feeling it, you sit with it. You ask, when did I first learn that I had to chase love to keep it? When did I decide that if I'm not constantly proving my worth, I'll be forgotten? And you might remember being the child who had to perform for attention, who learned that love was conditional, that you only mattered when you were useful, entertaining, or needed. That little version of you is still inside. Still afraid of being invisible. Still terrified of being left behind. And when you see that, when you really see it, something softens. Because you're not broken. You're carrying an old survival strategy that once kept you safe, but now keeps you stuck. You learn that jealousy, when acknowledged, can become healthy boundaries. That neediness, when understood, can become beautiful vulnerability. That rage, when processed, can become fierce self-protection. Your shadow isn't your enemy. It's the part of you that's been exiled for so long it forgot it was welcome home. And when you bring it back, when you integrate it with compassion instead of shame, you become whole. Not perfect. Whole. And wholeness. That's what real love requires. Not two halves searching for completion, but two whole people choosing each other from a place of consciousness, not need. This is what destined love was always meant to do. Not give you a perfect partner, but return you to your whole self. So the next time someone walks into your life and your shadow wakes up, don't run. Sit with it. Listen to it. Thank it for finally feeling safe enough to speak. Because that awakening, that's one of the clearest signs you're meant to be together, not because the connection is easy, but because it's real enough to hold all of you, even the parts you've spent your whole life hiding. There comes a moment on your spiritual path where you realize something that changes everything. Not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Some people come like storms, loud, powerful, unforgettable. Others arrive like gentle rain, soft, nourishing quiet. But whether they come with thunder or with whispers, they all carry the same purpose. They don't arrive to complete you. They arrive to change you. We're conditioned to worship forever. Every movie, every song, every story tells us that real love lasts eternally. That if someone truly matters, they'll stay. But what if the most profound souls you meet in this lifetime were never supposed to be permanent? What if their role wasn't to give you happily ever after, but to give you awakening? The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Jung understood this deeply. He wasn't talking about marriage. He wasn't talking about forever. He was talking about transformation. And transformation doesn't require permanence. It requires presence, impact, truth. Think about the teachers who changed your life. Most of them didn't stay. They taught you what you needed to learn, and then life moved you forward. Think about the books that rewrote your understanding of the world. You only read them once. But they're still inside you, shaping how you think, how you see how you live. Some people are like that. They walk into your life, touch something ancient in your soul, and then the universe moves them along, not because the connection wasn't real, but because the lesson was complete. And here's the part that breaks people realizing that someone can change your entire life without being in it forever. You meet someone who teaches you what love actually feels like. Not the performance, not the transaction, not the codependency disguised as commitment, but real, honest, soul-level love. And maybe they're not your person. Maybe they're the person who prepares you for your person. Maybe they show you what you deserve, so you stop settling for less. Maybe they reveal your patterns so you can finally break them. Maybe they awaken something dormant inside you, creativity, courage, self-worth that you needed for the next chapter of your life. And then they leave. Or you leave. Or life creates distance. Or the timing just doesn't align. And your first instinct is to feel broken, to wonder if it was real, why didn't it last? If we were meant to be, why did it end? But real doesn't always mean permanent. And meant to be doesn't always mean meant to stay. Sometimes people are meant to crack you open, to show you what you've been avoiding, to love you just enough that you remember how to love yourself. And then their work is done. This is one of the hardest truths to accept. Because we want the fairy tale. We want the person who awakens our soul to be the person we grow old with. But the universe doesn't work that way. The universe sends what you need when you need it. And sometimes what you need is a mirror, a catalyst, a sacred disruption, not a destination, a detour. And that detour, it changes everything. Maybe they inspired you to quit the job that was killing your spirit. Maybe they showed you the kind of partnership you want to build. Maybe they loved you so fiercely that you finally learned you're worthy of being loved. And maybe their greatest gift wasn't their presence. Maybe it was their absence. Because that absence became your teacher. It taught you that you can survive losing someone and still be whole. It taught you that love doesn't always look like possession. It taught you that letting go isn't failure, it's evolution. And one day you look back and you realize you don't resent them anymore. You don't wish things were different. You feel grateful, not because it didn't hurt, but because it mattered. And here's what that gratitude actually looks like when it arrives, because it doesn't come all at once. It comes in waves, in moments. Maybe you're having coffee alone one morning and you catch yourself smiling at something they would have found funny. And instead of that stabbing pain you used to feel, there's just warmth, just appreciation for the fact that they taught you a new way to see the world. Or maybe you're in a new relationship and you notice yourself setting a boundary clearly and kindly. And you realize, I wouldn't know how to do this if they hadn't shown me what it looks like. If they hadn't loved me enough to require it from me. Or maybe you're creating something, writing, painting, building a business, pursuing a dream you'd shelved for years. And you remember that they were the one who said, "Why aren't you doing this? You're meant for this." And they're not there to see it. But their belief planted a seed that finally grew. These aren't small things. These are the echoes of a soul connection that continue long after the person has gone. Because they came into your life and left fingerprints on your soul that will never fade. They changed your trajectory. They awakened something you couldn't have accessed without them. And you start to understand that maybe the universe didn't send them to stay. Maybe the universe sent them to shake you awake, to remind you who you are beneath all the conditioning. To love you just long enough that you remembered how to love yourself. And that's sacred, even if it's not forever. Especially if it's not forever. Because if they had stayed, you might have made them responsible for your happiness. You might have stopped growing, stopped reaching, stopped becoming. You might have settled into comfort instead of stepping into your purpose. But they left. And in that leaving, they forced you to find the answers inside yourself. Because they came into your life and left fingerprints on your soul that will never fade. They changed your trajectory. They awakened something you couldn't have accessed without them. And that's sacred, even if it's not forever. This is the difference between attachment and awareness. Attachment asks, "Why can't we go back?" Awareness whispers, "You've outgrown that chapter. It's time to move forward." And moving forward doesn't mean forgetting. It means integrating the lesson and carrying it with you. It means honoring what was without clinging to what's gone. It means understanding that some soul contracts are fulfilled not through lifelong partnership, but through profound, temporary transformation. So no, not all destined encounters are forever. But they're never wasted. They're written into your evolution, etched into your memory, carved into the person you're becoming. And one day you'll meet someone new, someone whose presence feels different. Not because they're better, but because you're different. Because every person who came before them prepared you, taught you, shaped you. And now you're ready for something your old self could never have sustained. That's the purpose of destined love. Not to give you a person, but to give you yourself, whole, awake, transformed. There's a spiritual law that doesn't bend to your timeline. It doesn't respond to your loneliness. It doesn't answer your desperate prayers out of pity. It waits until you're ready. Not when you're begging, not when you're broken, not when you're scrolling through your phone at midnight hoping someone will text you back. It waits until you've done the work, until you've faced yourself, until you've stopped looking for someone to save you and started saving yourself. Because the universe doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your energy. And desperate energy, it attracts chaos. Lack attracts more lack. Fear attracts patterns that repeat. Emptiness attracts people who can't fill it because no one can fill it but you. This is the harsh truth. If you're still lost in self-doubt, still chasing validation, still trying to escape your own reflection, you won't attract a soulmate. you'll attract a mirror of your chaos, not a divine connection. A test, and that test will keep repeating until you finally understand that the relationship you're searching for out there starts with the relationship you build in here, with yourself. So you meet people who are emotionally unavailable because you're still emotionally wounded. You attract inconsistency because you haven't found your own stability. You keep getting confused by mixed signals because your inner world is still clouded by doubt. It's not the universe punishing you. It's the universe teaching you, saying, look, this is what you're vibrating at. This is what you're aligned with. And until you change your frequency, this pattern will continue. But then something shifts. One day, after all the heartbreak, all the disappointment, all the nights you cried yourself to sleep, wondering why it keeps happening, you stop. You stop chasing. You stop performing. You stop begging people to see your worth. And you turn inward. You sit in silence. You face your wounds. You start therapy, journaling, meditating. You begin the slow, sacred work of becoming whole without needing anyone else to validate it. You stop asking, when will I meet the one? And start asking, what parts of myself have I been running from? You stop fearing being alone and start falling in love with your own peace. And that shift, that's everything. Because loneliness and aloneness are not the same thing. Loneliness is what you feel when you're disconnected from yourself. When you need someone else to make you feel whole, seen, worthy. But aloneness is sacred. It's the space where you finally meet yourself without distraction. Where you sit with your thoughts, your fears, your dreams, without using another person to avoid them. And in that space, something beautiful happens. You start building a life you don't need to escape from. You start creating routines that nourish you. You start doing things just because they bring you joy, not because they'll impress anyone. You start saying no to things that drain you and yes to things that light you up. You start investing in yourself, therapy books, courses, experiences that help you grow. You start treating yourself the way you've been waiting for someone else to treat you. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, your energy changes. You're no longer broadcasting, "Please fix me." You're no longer vibrating at the frequency of lack. You're no longer carrying the desperate edge of someone who needs external validation to feel okay. You start carrying the quiet confidence of someone who's done the work, who's faced their demons, who's made peace with their past, who knows their worth not because someone told them, but because they discovered it in the solitude. And that's when everything shifts. Because now, when you meet someone, you're not asking, "Can you save me?" You're asking, "Can you match me?" You're not looking for someone to complete you. You're looking for someone who can walk beside the complete version of you that you've become. And the universe responds to that frequency immediately. Not with noise, not with fireworks, not with some dramatic moment that feels like a movie, but with alignment. Quiet, clear, undeniable. It's like the soft vibration of a piano string finally resonating with another after being out of tune for years. Like two souls humming the same ancient song they both forgot they knew. You meet someone and you don't feel the need to chase. You don't overthink. You don't question your worth in their presence. Because they don't come to complete you. They come to walk beside the version of you that already knows, "I am whole. I am ready. I am no longer afraid of my own reflection." This is what true love feels like. Not addiction, not obsession, not the chaos you mistook for passion, but resonance. And from that moment forward, your life is never the same. Not because someone saved you, but because you saved yourself first. And the universe simply responded to your healing. Because that's how it works. You don't get what you want. You get what you're aligned with. So if you're still waiting, still hoping, still wondering when it's going to happen, I want you to ask yourself, am I ready? Not ready for a relationship. Ready for yourself. Have you faced your wounds, or are you still running from them? Have you learned to love yourself, or are you still waiting for someone else to teach you? Have you built a life you're proud of, or are you still hoping someone will give you permission to start living because the universe will send you exactly what you're ready for? No more, no less. And when you're ready, truly ready, you won't have to force it. You won't have to chase it. You won't have to convince anyone to see you. It will just flow. Naturally, effortlessly. Like two rivers merging without resistance. Like coming home to a place you've never been, but somehow always knew existed. And you'll understand, finally, that every painful lesson, every heartbreak, every moment you thought you were being rejected, was actually the universe protecting you, keeping you from settling, keeping you from building a life with someone while you were still at war with yourself, preparing you, strengthening you, healing you, so you could be ready for something your old self would have destroyed. That's the timeline. That's the truth. The universe sends people when you're ready, not when you're desperate. So heal, grow, let go of the noise. Become the version of yourself that no longer begs for love, but attracts it simply by being whole. And trust that when you're ready, when you're truly aligned, the right person won't just enter your life. They'll feel like they've been waiting for you too. The next time you meet someone and something inside you shifts, when your breath catches, when the world slows down, when you feel something unexplainable move through your chest, pause. Don't rush to define it. Don't force it into a label. Just feel it. Because not every spark is romantic, and not every connection is forever. But every soul you meet carries meaning. Some come to show you your strength. Some come to reveal your weakness. Some come to remind you of your worth. And some arrive to teach you how to walk away from what no longer serves you. So the question isn't just, who is this person to me? The question is, what are they showing me about myself? Is it joy? Is it fear? Is it peace? Is it an old wound resurfacing, begging for closure? Because people aren't random. They're messengers. From the universe. From your higher self. From the version of you that already knows what you truly need. And the universe doesn't send you who you want in moments of loneliness. It sends you who your soul needs in moments of readiness. Some come to shake you. Some come to heal you. Some come to break the illusions you built around your heart. But all of them, yes, all of them, come to guide you one step closer to your truth. So the next time someone walks into your life and stirs your soul, don't just react. Observe. Listen. Because the universe speaks in energy, in timing, in feelings. And it's not shouting. It's whispering. And those whispers, they only make sense to the version of you that's finally ready to hear. If someone just came to mind while you were watching this, someone who didn't stay forever, but changed everything, they were one of these signs. They were the universe speaking directly to you. Maybe they walked in during a storm. Maybe they left before you were ready. But something about them and their presence, their timing, their truth, left fingerprints on your soul that haven't faded. That wasn't coincidence. That was divine appointment. And now you know, when the universe wants you to be with someone, it sends signs. Not loud ones. Whispered ones. Through synchronicities too precise to ignore. Through mirrors that show you yourself. Through pain that cracks you open. Through shadows that demand to be integrated. Through temporary encounters that transform you permanently. And through the sacred knowing that some connections transcend explanation. So trust what you felt. Honor what you experienced. And carry the lesson forward. Because you're not the same person you were before they arrived. You've been changed, awakened, transformed, and that transformation, that's the real gift, not the relationship, the evolution. Here's what you need to understand. As you move forward, every person who stirred something in you was preparing you for something. Sometimes preparing you for them, sometimes preparing you for someone else, but always preparing you for yourself. The one who broke your heart taught you what you won't accept anymore. The one who ghosted you taught you that someone's inability to see your worth isn't a reflection of your value. The one who almost loved you taught you that almost isn't enough. And the one who did love you, even temporarily, showed you what's possible, what you deserve, what you're capable of both giving and receiving. None of it was wasted. None of it was random. Every connection, every heartbreak, every moment of clarity was the universe speaking, teaching, guiding you toward the truest version of yourself. And now you're here, more conscious, more whole, more awake than you've ever been. You understand synchronicity now. You recognize mirrors. You're no longer afraid of your shadow. You know that pain can be sacred. You've learned that not everyone stays, and that's okay. You've discovered that readiness is everything. These aren't just concepts anymore. They're lived experiences. They're wisdom earned through the sacred work of becoming yourself. Now go forward, whole, awake, ready, and trust that the universe is still speaking, still guiding, still whispering. You just have to be conscious enough to listen.